What's up, Tudorinos? Welcome back to the Game Addicts Podcast, a show where we talk about modern and retro games. I'm your Player 1, Brando. Joining me here is Player 2, Mike.
Oh, hello.
And today, just like we hinted and promised and hoped that he would be here, Player 3 is here. Welcome back to the show, Tyler McLaughlin.
I'm back with a vengeance.
Back with a vengeance, indeed. Of course, Tyler has his own show that he's a part of, Podcastrophe. You can check them out on their Facebook page and on their audio on journeytocomics.com. Check out that, and downloadable wherever good, fine podcasts are available.
All the services.
All of the services.
Everywhere.
Well,
at all times.
You know, I definitely brought this up to you last week because the forces have been put in place to keep us apart.
Yes.
Since E3 has been wrapping up, you and I have had to squeeze in little tidbits of conversation over the last week.
They've always gotten cut short. It's like we'll meet and then we'll recap what we've already had cut short, and then we'll just barely get to that new little tidbit of information we want to talk about, and then we're whisked away from each other again. So I've been more than ready to sit down and talk E3 with you and Mike, especially. Mike and I got to talk a little bit today.
10 minutes.
10 minutes.
That's
all 10 minutes,
get.
And that wasn't enough. So.
Well, we barely scratched the surface on Souls.
Yep.
So I have to, before we continue, I have to formally apologize for saying that Joel is dead in The Last of Us Part 2.
I don't think he's dead.
He's not.
They said
they openly say he's not.
They openly say it, but
they don't say that he's not dead.
He
At
said,
the very beginning, he misheard or misread or whatever.
Misread
it was.
because I was using with Joanna. She likes to talk during the thing,
Mm-hmm.
so she's talking to me. And she has to have subtitles on. So I'm trying to listen to her, and I'm watching the subtitles. Well, it said, your father would have really liked one of these, is what it said in the subtitles. And I was like, wait, Joel's dead? So I ran with it, and stupid me, didn't watch it again alone, which I know better.
I could see, especially if you were just doing subtitles, how you could miss a lot of what was going on in The Last of Us in that presentation, because there is so much happening.
Now, I didn't hear that part at all because my wife was watching something on her computer while I was trying to watch that on the TV, and that beginning part is so quiet.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Because there's the music in the background, there's the dancing, and then the two characters, the Asian dude and Ellie, and
Was his name like Jacob or something?
it was Jesse.
Jesse.
There
Yeah.
you go. I knew it was a J.
When I rewatched it, he said, "So your dad scolded me today."
Yeah, your dad was on my ass.
Well,
Yeah.
he said, "Yo, man, came down pretty hard on me today."
Exactly. Yeah.
And she's like, "What happened?" He's like,
with that look of that sounds about
yeah,
normal.
all right, what was it? And he's like, just my patrols, where I should go, where I shouldn't go. Funny how he gets involved or so involved when you start going out.
Yep.
And it's like that alone, we didn't get anything from Joel in this thing at all.
Nope, just that.
Well, when we got the first trailer and she's playing the guitar and Joel walks into the room, he's just standing in the doorway. You know how nuts fans went when he walked on screen. And at first, I was a little bit, I'm super excited for The Last of Us 2, don't get me wrong. At first, I was a little bit apprehensive about stepping out of Joel's shoes and stepping into Ellie's shoes, because it's a totally different dynamic. It's not Joel learning how to be a father, and it's not just him surviving. Now it's Ellie learning to be an adult, and now we're going to have a different interaction with Joel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
She's older. She's basically an adult now. There's different shit going on. We don't know what's really happening. But after watching this trailer, I am... I didn't get to play The Last of Us on PlayStation 3. I played the remaster on PlayStation 4. So initially, when everyone was hyping up The Last of Us, I was like, it's just one of those Sony exclusives. I was a Microsoft fanboy for that generation, and when I finally got to play it, it fucking blew my mind. And then, the same thing happened with Uncharted. So I'm really glad I went with the PlayStation this generation first, but I'm super pumped for The Last of Us 2.
What it sounds like is that he is not going out as much, but as he says in the first one, which you kind of played through this on a stream the other day, is that he says, I don't want to lead. But what's the assumption? He's talking about the patrols. He's coming down on people for not doing their jobs right.
He's probably that. He's maybe not the leader of this.
I bet he's second.
Well, he might be kind of the consultation guy. Like he's the grizzled old veteran that everybody looks up to and respects. Because especially with this trailer, there's so much going on. There's so much that we don't know. Tommy might be the one leading everybody. We don't know what Tommy's involvement is. So,
we're led to believe kind of this is where they're at. Is this they've kind of built something, a really big kind of community here for people.
But here's one thing before you continue. Did anyone notice there was no infected people in the trailer in any of them at all?
Also, something that I've been thinking throughout my head. What if the Fireflies aren't in this at all?
What if it's another group?
All right, so
could be a new group.
So,
Joel pretty much wiped them out.
Well, okay. That's a really good idea because they failed in their mission to harvest Ellie's brain matter to make a cure. So, if Ellie is the only one that is immune to the it's actually a fungus, right? Cordyceps. Yeah. Thank you. If Ellie's the only one and they lose Ellie, their mission's kind of foobarred. So what do you do next?
Okay, so as Mike said, I started streaming The Last of Us last week, and we'll continue to do so until I beat the game. I'm going to try and get the whole thing played through. And there was something.
Are you going to take your time?
Huh?
Are you going to take your time or just burn?
I'm going to try and do some tomorrow. So Wednesday night, if you're hearing this.
Are you going to just play straight through, or are you going to do the full
explore? Are you
going
to explore and whatnot?
You're going to do the full explore of every corner?
I'll probably just going to do a very relaxed playthrough. Okay. I'm not going to 100% get everything.
Well, you can't. So
and actually, you can't do all the I think I got 2 trophies the entire first time I played the game. It's very difficult to get trophies.
You got to plus it.
But something that was said just in the 2.5 hours that I played. When you first meet one of the head leaders of the Fireflies, I'm trying to remember her name now.
Was it like Nyreen or?
No, that's from. No.
Is that the girl that leads them out of the city?
Yeah.
I think it's Nyreen.
No. Well,
Naomi.
It's she's.
I feel like it's an N.
I feel like you're correct. If I'm talking to the mic, I feel like you're correct.
Yeah, talking to the mic. Mike.
But while you're looking that up, I was floored, just with the whole Last of Us presentation, because I was talking to you during the stream that we were watching, and right out of the gate, I was extremely disappointed with Sony's presentation.
Yeah,
it was weird.
Yeah,
they're moving fans from section to section. When that guy came out and started playing the instrument, I was like, okay, we know what's happening.
Yeah.
And, they're in the church, and he's talking about being in the church that they set up, and it's like, man, this is just weird. It was all weird, and then, they've got, all the, mason jar type lights, the string lights hanging from the ceiling, and then you see those in the trailer where everybody's dancing. They replicated it.
The whole dance.
And I thought that was awesome.
And I thought it was awesome too, but Sony's presentation as a whole for me was up, down, right back and forth. And if I was a fan at that show, I would not want to move from place to place. Set me down in a room. The last couple years, Microsoft has done terrible at E3. Microsoft did it right. It was fanfare, and it was big, and then Sony came in, and I was like, okay, Sony's going to top this, and it was just weird and wonky, but, The Last of Us blew everybody away, so.
The gameplay from The Last of Us.
Her name is Marlene.
Oh,
Marlene.
We were close. Kind of.
Now, Joel says to Marlene early on in the first game, her army's been wiping you guys out, and she's like, yeah, that's no shit.
So maybe you're gonna do the army as the next faction.
I am hearing words, and pray tell, now grain of salt, of a cult.
I could see that.
Now look at the second trailer we got.
I was going to say the second trailer would mark
where,
that.
Like,
exactly.
we didn't know anybody, we didn't see anything, and somebody was trying to hang somebody, and then what did we see in the gameplay? We saw somebody get hung up and their entrails
get
pulled
eviscerated.
out.
Yep.
And then there's multiple people hung up too. So it's like that's not Firefly's little MO, you know.
No.
So it's like, who are they going after, and then are these the people Ellie is deciding to go after and try to kill? Because in that first trailer, especially after what we've seen, it definitely seems like she's going out on her own. She's being able to survive on her own. She's fucking brutal,
right?
You know, and I mean, and she's learned that. And then
learned a lot of that from watching Joel.
Exactly. But then in that first trailer, it really seems like he went out to find her.
Mm-hmm.
And he's following the bodies.
Yep.
And then he finally does. Because to me, it's almost like she goes out to do her thing, and then he hears about whatever's going on, and he's like...
He's got to go protect his little girl.
And then he goes out, and then he's like...
Or stop her.
He's like, are you really going to go through with this? You know? And then he's, you know, obviously she's very determined. I've also heard how the story's going to play out. And it's very similar to the DLC, where you play, where there's two different timelines, and you're bouncing back and forth.
Okay.
So it's going to have a different pace and feel to the first game.
I'm okay with that. I liked the DLC a lot.
I did too, and that doesn't bother me at all. That can be a really creative way to include characters. Like, if there's characters in the past that aren't alive in the present, and you're wondering where they are, maybe at some point you will see them actually die.
Right. Or characters in the past that were not so important or very very small in scope characters that then in the present are big name people.
Yeah.
Here's a question for both of you. Do you think it'll be full open world? Or do you think that they will go to the original semi-linear, semi-open?
So recently, I played through Rise of the Tomb Raider, and not long ago, long after pretty much everybody else, I played through Uncharted 4. I like, and you know, God of War, especially this year, I like the way that Naughty Dog and these big developers are taking pseudo-open world environments with linear stories, but still giving you shit to do, and you're not on a string the entire time.
Right.
You know, The Last of Us was enough of that for me. Obviously, the environments weren't that big, but there was a lot of shit for you to do in pretty much every area you were in. There was a lot to explore. I'm not a big finding collectibles guy, but I think for people that are into that kind of shit, Naughty Dog definitely knows how to cater to fans for that. So, and as a whole, not that I didn't, you know, just grovel at their feet and love everything that they've put out in the past, but whatever Naughty Dog wants to do, I'm going to be happy with it.
It's true.
I have heard that even with the gameplay that we saw, they said that the areas are going to be bigger. Your pathways forward are a multitude. You don't have to go the same way that she went. You can actually move your way around and go a different way entirely and actually have an entirely different gameplay experience, which that's awesome.
Right.
That is completely cool. I like that. I like that a lot. Now, last week, we talked it through, and you mentioned it too, that like Xbox, you know, killed it this year.
And you know, if you really want to break it down, their performance wasn't really stellar. It wasn't lots of new shit that we've never seen before. It was a little bit of kind of everything, fire. But think about it, you know, it's not, you look at past E3s, if you were going to rank every E3 ever.
Oh, yeah.
It's not towards the top. It's definitely towards the top for Microsoft, of the last 5-6 years.
I think it is the top of Microsoft.
Well,
in the
definitely,
last 5
definitely.
years.
But Microsoft of the past,
Yeah.
they're finally getting back to where they should be.
I think that I wouldn't say it's one of the best presentations ever, but 18 first world exclusive, like 18 exclusive
18 premieres, 50 total
games,
Yep.
12 first time ever shows. They really stepped it up.
And then they highlighted the studios that they picked up or started. 5 studios, including the one that they started, the Initiative.
Yeah,
is what they're calling their new studio. So, Brandon and I have talked in length at how what's really killing Microsoft is their lack of first-party exclusives, and they are actively working to remedy the issues that started with the Xbox One. So you can't fault them for any of that.
Right.
Okay, so with all these new acquisitions and studio creation, whatever, obviously they have stuff down the line. They announced the new Gears 5. That was, pretty relevant. Then they previewed Halo Infinite. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, they opened the show with that, which I thought was cool. You got to do. If you're going to premiere a Halo game, you have to open the show with that.
So, a lot of these new studios working on projects. They hinted at Playground. Is that the Forza Horizon?
Yeah,
studio?
that's Playground.
That they are working on a big, massive open world game. I'm thinking that's the new Fable.
Yeah,
that would be the best call.
They pretty much confirmed that Playground is the one who's going to be doing the Fable game.
Yeah.
They just didn't say that Playground is working on the Fable game.
They hinted and they were excited. However, when are these games going to be ready? And, of course, it takes a few years, especially with new projects.
Right.
They announced this now in 2018 to hopefully have some of these ready to roll out within that first year or a launch of the new Xbox.
The Forza looked fully it was playable. They were playing.
Forza's coming out this year,
right?
But I'm talking about
what I'm saying is that if it comes out this year, Playground's already changed gears.
One thing about Playground though is they have a lot of post-launch support for the games that they come out with. So I would imagine a big portion of their team is still going to be dedicated to Forza, like they always have been. Yeah. That's definitely the kicker though. You and I have talked a lot. Does Microsoft just ride the X through the first portion of this next console generation, or do they go right into it with Sony with the Xbox Scarlet rumor? Is that what they're calling it?
Rumor, yeah.
They've already announced that they are working on the new consoles, and the rumor is 2020 launch. And Sony
is supposedly about done with the 5.
There are so many rumors. Sony is saying, 2020 is when we're going to be looking at the next one.
Yep.
But the rumor is it could be sooner than that, and I actually have rumored specs.
Cool.
Well, here's my thing is that with Microsoft, and me and you have talked about this, but you think it's a saving grace, and I don't. So Microsoft is hurting to putting out hardware. They're hurting to get numbers of Xbox X's or S's out.
Well, that's part of it. They haven't released sales figures for years, so no one knows how many of those consoles are on the market.
They're hurting. That's basically what's happening. They don't want anyone to know. But the problem is that if you watch this whole conference, their exclusives are Windows 10. It says Windows 10, Xbox. Windows 10, Xbox. For me, if I'm wanting to put my hardware out there, I'm not going to put it on Windows. I would put a later date on Windows, not at launch Windows, because me personally being a guy I'm going to stick with my PlayStation, and as I'm building a super big computer, so why in the hell do I need an Xbox? I don't, because I can play all these games on my PC.
I think that's kind of the trend, though, for any of the PC games, at least of the last 3 to 4 years. When a big game like Destiny or I'll single Destiny out or Destiny and Monster Hunter. I'll single those games out because they're similar experiences with the way that the games play. They announce the game for a certain date. We know it's confirmed that they're going to be on PC. The PC game is going to come out 6 months to a year after the launch, the original launch. So I would imagine that during the conference, Microsoft set it up that way to cater to PC fans just so PC fans weren't like, I'm not going to get this game, I have to buy an Xbox.
Right.
So I think, in my opinion, that's why they did it that way.
My thing is that it's an exclusive. When you tell me this is an Xbox exclusive, that does not mean PC.
Actually, it does now because of the marketplace, because of them future-proofing themselves, and I'm going to get to that also.
Right, and yet again, what he went on is that I was thinking of now, later on, as they said in their conference, they want you to be able to play their stuff anywhere.
Well, and I think part of it, too, is they are, both Sony and Microsoft, are trying to put the most power in everybody's living room that they can, while it's still maintaining the affordability. You know, Sony and Microsoft have both been down this road where we're going to give you a console for $700 and it's going to be everything you ever want, and fans don't want to pay that.
No, it's too
much.
even
Even with the X sales figures or whatever they are for whatever reason, but I have an Xbox One S. I can't justify going and spending $500-600 on an X when I'm able to play the same games. True 4K, it doesn't justify the extra cost for me, having to spend that money over again. But I think they're both business savvy enough that they've realized what the price points are that fans want to pay, or that are willing to pay regularly. Just the run-of-the-mill fan, not the Xbox super fan or the Sony super fan. This is about what we're going to pay, the $300 to $500 range. That's what we are going to pay for a console. So I think, and what I said a minute ago was, they're catering to their entire fan base, because if you want to go out and spend $3,000 and build yourself a really decent gaming rig for PC, you have all the freedom in the world to do that. But if you want to spend $500 and still be able to play those same games with your friends, we have that for you. And that's something that Sony doesn't have.
Sure.
Okay, so Digital Foundry published a report that detailed a potential CPU for the PS5. Sony is reportedly working with AMD again, because both Xbox and Sony work with AMD, and they used the Jaguar. And basically, what is being said is that the Jaguar is actually one of the weakest things about it. And given the fact that
about the console as a whole?
Yes.
Okay.
The fact is that the processor is kind of meant for tablets and mobile. And that it has 8 cores, but it struggles. And a lot of companies are saying, hey, the reason why we're not hitting 60 frames, because of the Jaguar. And that's what they chose to put in it. Apparently, they're looking at using the Ryzen. And the Ryzen...
Significant boost to the Jaguar.
Yes.
By the way. In specs.
It's funny, we just talked about that a little bit ago. That was what was in the laptop I was looking at,
And, so, apparently, Sony is requesting certain modifications to that. Now, this may be... I watched a video today where someone was like, hey, this might be like a earlier generation version of it, probably to make it cheaper. But you're still gonna basically, if I remember correctly, they said that the Ryzen has eight actual cores and 8 logical cores or something. It's
I'll have to look at the new gens. I don't know.
It's a total of 16 cores.
Okay.
For for processors.
16 cores. That doesn't seem like they would be putting that in there, because if I bought a 16 core processor,
well, it's got 8 cores. It has 8 actual cores.
You're talking about threads, so it has 8 cores and 3 threads per core. That's usually how they set them up on the processors.
All this computer talks over my head.
I can pull up what I'm talking about.
All right. So here's another thing. One of the ways that Xbox is killing it is Xbox Games Pass. And
which you and I have both gotten in our feet wet with.
Yes. Now. And actually, I canceled it to get that deal, and that deal's no longer available.
Oh shit.
Yeah, so you might want to cancel that before you get charged $10.
I'll just get charged $10. I think I'm going to keep Game Pass.
I do want to get. I'm gonna keep it. I do want to get it, but I canceled it for now. It runs out tomorrow. So
I'm going to go back and play. You know, one of the things I've kind of kicked myself for never buying was like the Rare Replay bundle.
Yes.
You know, when it was like free on Xbox or like
I got
$10.
mine on Black Friday for $15.
Yep. So I never bought that, but now I don't need to buy Rare Replay because I can just play all the games that are on that bundle on Game Pass. So I can play Banjo-Kazooie again, you know?
Big news. Sony's PlayStation Now is reportedly getting the ability to download games later this year. Of course, that has been one of the things that's been holding it back, because on Game Pass, you don't stream it. You just download it to your system, just like you would off of the marketplace.
Right.
And then you play it. And as long as you have Game Pass, you can play those games.
Yep.
That's great, because that means I don't have to worry about having a good internet connection to stream them.
Here's the big thing, and they mentioned it. Almost all of those Microsoft exclusives, day one Game Pass.
Yeah, I'll be there on launch day, which I thought was really cool, and
that's
it's part of the
amazing.
reason I'm going to keep it.
I mean, you think about it. I want to check out Horizon. I'm not real fond of an open world with a bunch of people, but I like to check it out.
Mm-hmm.
If I had that, would be the way.
Like if you dude, for $10 a month, you can go, I'm gonna download this tonight,
Right, and just check it out.
Yep.
And then if you go, yes, I actually really like this,
I might go pick it up.
you might go pick it up, or you could just keep paying your $10 a month, and you can just play it until you're
Right.
sick of it. So apparently, an industry sources told Kotaku UK that downloads are coming to PlayStation Now in September. According to source, downloads will be initially limited to PS4 titles, and that's probably due to some sort of emulation that they do on their side for the PS3 and PS2 titles. But however, that is a big thing because PlayStation already has the streaming stuff built in, and Xbox announced they are working on streaming on their end, which is where I was saying with the whole playing the games anywhere within the next. I don't know.
I feel like the next generation is going to have this play anywhere.
It is, but like the head of Ubisoft was saying that the next generation will be the last actual hardware generation, where you're actually going to have, them putting out a box with all the stuff in it for you to put your game in and play it. After that, we're going to be going towards the streaming and downloading stuff, where either you're going to have something that's going to be powerful enough to play it, or as long as internet infrastructure it gets wider, as it should over the next 10 years.
I mean, when you look at it, a lot of our phones,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've got a 4-core processor,
Yeah.
24 threads. So, that's huge. That's what I'm going to put in a computer. So, anymore, our phones are just, mobile gaming is sweeping.
Well, and I have two questions for you guys. With PS Now, do you think Sony, seeing the success of Microsoft Game Pass, wanting to have that same success with the service that they launched first, that has for the most part failed, do you think the changes that they're going to be making to PS Now are going to be enough to save that service and justify us as fans spending the money on that service?
I don't know if it'll save it, but it'll make it more viable.
Okay.
But I think that them seeing the success of you being able to download it versus streaming it,
Mm-hmm.
because like he said, he doesn't usually have a great internet connection,
Right.
so he cannot stream those, like Uncharted 4. You can't stream that kind of action.
Right. And it's sad we are still so region limited on internet.
Yes,
Especially in rural areas,
Yes.
and that's one reason why, over the next generation, I think they're going to try and, with the whole 5G network going up.
they're both going crazy over that 5G.
So they are excited about it, and they, as the internet infrastructure gets wider and wider, there will be a time when that'll happen. Whether or not this next generation will last that long, maybe.
One of the things, and I'm glad you brought the 5G network thing up. One of the things that I've heard a little bit of rumors here and there is cell phone manufacturers partnering up with console manufacturers to team up and provide that internet connection for Sony or Microsoft. So
that makes sense.
if you look at, I've been with T-Mobile for a long time. T-Mobile and Sprint are trying to merge again for the third or fourth time.
Yeah.
T-Mobile is trying to push the 5G network. They want to be the first ones to roll that out to everybody and kind of corner that market. Imagine if T-Mobile and Sprint merged together and T-Mobile Sprint partnered with Microsoft, and that's how you got the 5G network. And, I don't ever see AT&T and Verizon partnering up, but let's just say they partner up with Sony, and that's how you get your 5G network. So then the money would be there. Not that I want to spend that money, because cell phone plans are already too expensive. It's ridiculous what we pay for cell phones. But imagine if we go fully digital on games, and to be able to play our video games, we also have to partner that with our cell phone providers. How nuts would that be?
That would bother the shit out of me.
Yeah, and it would me too. But I every couple of weeks, I see a little bit here, a little bit there. And it's got me a little bit worried.
AT&T had the ability to upgrade all their towers to almost be 5G capable, but they bought DirecTV.
Right.
So every time I go in there to invest with my phone now, which, trust me, I'd rather deal with, do you want DirecTV versus my phone doesn't work?
Right.
Or having to have 5 months of dealing with them just to get my money back that they took from me because they suck.
Right.
Not singling anything out here, but if let's say Sprint and T-Mobile merged, they would be the largest cell phone company ever.
Yep, and that's why they've been stopped so many times.
I mean, that would almost be a monopoly on it.
I think they're hinging on their proposition for the 5G network to let the government let them do that. I have another bit of news. PlayStation is going to be putting out a string of titles under PlayStation Hits.
Okay.
Available for $20. And there is currently 15 of these.
That's cool.
That are going to be released, and in no particular order. Where there is Bloodborne, Drive Club, Infamous Second Son, Killzone Shadows Fall, Little Big Planet 3, Ratchet and Clank Redo, Last of Us Remastered, Uncharted 4.
Ooh, that's cool. For $20?
Yeah.
That's a good deal.
Battlefield 4, Doom, Project Cars, Street Fighter 5. Oh boy, let's see if I can read this one. It's one of the Yakuza games. I can't read the last part. Then Yakuza 0, I can actually read that one because of the big 0. And then Metal Gear Solid, the Ground Zeroes Phantom Pain double.
Oh, that's cool.
Thing.
Putting them together.
Yeah. So, and then in Europe, they're getting. I guess they're doing some. I guess they're doing those, and then many of the same games as in U.S. and Canada will be included, plus Batman Arkham Knight and Shadows of Mordor. A couple others, maybe. But that's pretty typical, and that's something that I kind of realized I didn't even know. Like, I was 0 days old, or when I realized something, like whatever that meme was or whatever it was.
I was this many days old.
I'm like, yeah, we actually haven't seen any like greatest hits, because typically every generation has that, where you have like the games or titles that have been out for so long that have sold so many that they just kind of they repackage them and put them out with a different package.
Yeah, they changed the labeling a little bit, and they're normally like $14 or $19.
Yeah, and it's like the PlayStation 3. They changed the case style. It was all red, and then the Xbox 360 it was like all gray. You know, it just.
I've bought a lot of greatest hits games in the last 10, 15 years, and it's never been a bad purchase.
Okay, so I got Call of Duty news.
Oh boy.
It's not very good news.
Is it getting sued?
No. Maybe.
Isn't Fortnite getting sued by PUBG?
On baseless grounds. Basically, PUBG is saying they own Battle Royale. But if they're going to sue them, they're going to have to sue like both everybody, because everybody's having Battle Royale, you know. Apparently, the new Call of Duty, Black Ops 4, not only does it not have a campaign mode because they didn't have enough time to make one.
Surprise.
They're bundling in their season pass with the special editions. And the season pass is unavailable to purchase separately at launch.
What?
Yeah.
So I have a hard-on for this. You know, the whole season pass thing anyway. the days of where a DLC came out and I got to decide whether or not I wanted it, and I would either buy it or I would not, or I would buy the collector's edition of a game and then I would get that DLC when it launched. Those are the days that we need to get back to, because this season pass shit is getting a little bit ridiculous.
I agree, especially when the cheapest edition of Call of Duty Black Ops that includes the season pass is $100.
Yep.
Yeah, no.
They announced all kinds of, like, basically, typically every year they have a bunch of freebie stuff, and then you have your season pass stuff. Now everything is bundled into the season pass. You get 12 maps, you get 4 new zombie stuff, you get this stuff, but you cannot buy it at launch. They haven't announced a date for when the season pass will be available for everybody. So
we as gamers have been talking since we've been playing video games about when the prices of video games are going to go up. Are we going to this next console generation, are we going to hit the $100 a game mark? It's not out of the question.
Well, let's look at Australia and then look at Canada. Canada pays $10 to $20 more than we do per game.
Yep.
So I think with these season pass bundle shit, this is the way for publishers and developers to hit that $100 a game mark. Because if you look at like Destiny 2, I paid $100 for Destiny 2 to get the season pass. The season pass doesn't include the DLC that's getting ready to come out. I have to pay for that separate. And if you look at Final Fantasy 15, they had 2 separate season passes.
We're gonna do another one.
Because I got the first one
right
in my collector's edition, and then nothing.
Yep. So now, especially with developers and publishers wanting to go fully digital, so they can make... Because if you look at what... you and I talked about Fallout 4, the season pass on Sony, or on PlayStation Plus right now.
And Bethesda has it on their website, is $40 also.
Same price. So it's $40, or I could pay $29 and get a whole new copy of the game and all of the DLC versus $40. Yep. I haven't bought it yet because, it kind of put such a bad taste in my mouth. I don't want to play the DLC now. But if we go, the amount of money that they make off of the digital content versus the physical content is dividends upon dividends. It takes, there's no manufacturing cost. Mm-hmm. It's just pure profit all day long, every day. So as much as I accept the fact that we are eventually going to go fully digital and then struggle with having enough storage space for everything, unless we're streaming everything, we're going to fight that storage space issue for years.
That's what's going to piss me off.
And then that's going to push the market to streaming all the time, and then, we're not going to have another choice. But at what point does it stop? At what point do we say... We want to be able to slide a disc or a cartridge into our system and play the game that we want to play. We want to get up off the couch, go to our CD tower, grab the game that we want, open the case, put it in the thing, and sit back down. At what point do we stand up and say, we do not want our games fully digital? Especially, the two of you and me a little bit, people who collect, that market's going to die.
Mm-hmm. One of my biggest complaints about this is... I don't mind the digital that much. I don't like it because I collect. I like physically having it on the shelf. Mm-hmm. I almost always buy, if a game I love, so like Fallout. He turned me on to Fallout. I never played Fallout 4 before. I played Fallout 3, and I couldn't do the aiming mechanics. So he's like, you have to get 4. I get 4. I love 4. What do? They pull out the Game of the Year edition. I buy the Pip-Boy version. Fallout 76 comes. I bought the Power Armor edition. Mm-hmm. I got lucky because somebody was on it. Thank you, by the way.
Yeah, how fast did they sell out of those?
So quite fast.
GameStop said that they were completely out in 10 minutes. And then online says it within 45 minutes to an hour. So him pretty much pulling it up and saying, oh, did you know that's up now? And me purchasing it right in the parking lot.
Right.
If I would have waited until I got home, I probably wouldn't have got one.
All this digital talk and streaming talk, do you remember what we saw today? How about GameStop?
Oh, yeah.
Before
you jump into that, let me finish.
Sure.
So I don't care that if they're going to do digital, but I'm not paying $60 for a freaking digital copy.
Yeah. Now, see, that's the problem that we get into, because then developers and publishers are not going to be, the little bit of profit that they make is not going to be there.
Yeah, but they won't be making a little bit. They'll make quite a bit if they move out of production. So no production at all. It's just, we created the game, it's ready, it's up, go.
But look at what I'm getting at is look at how long games have been $60. Before games were $60, they were what, $40?
Depends on what console, because N64 was pulling what, 70?
Yeah, up to 70.
Okay, so
but PS1 40, PS2 50, PS3, PS4 60.
Okay, so we've been at that $60 mark for a long time,
10
years. For 10 years, for a decade, and developers are like, okay, this is what we have. We can put this much or this many resources into making this, and this is our profit margin off of our investment here.
Right.
If you go fully digital and you keep it at $60, that profit margin will increase by a lot. But if you lower it to say $30, then are they really making their profit?
I wouldn't mind it.
Or are things going to suffer by lowering that cost?
I wouldn't mind. I'm not saying 30. I'm not saying half price.
But I just use that as an example.
I'm saying, like, drop it down for us, because I can tell you this from personal experience. If you wait 5 to 6 months to pick that game up, you get it on Humble Bundle, you get it on Steam, you get it for what? You picked up games for $3, like the Old Republic for $3.
Mm-hmm.
That game was, Steam. Come on.
Sometimes it's weeks after the game releases, and it's already half price.
And then for Humble Bundle, I got that Sega Capcom. I paid $15 and got like 9 games or something like that. It was crazy.
But for me personally, If we go to an all-digital world, I'm not buying anything that's dropped, even if it's a game that I'm like, oh my God, unless it is a limited edition to where I get something physical, like a Power Armor helmet or a Pit-Boy or statues, stuff like that. That's the only way I'm going to buy something like that, is say, okay, here you get all this in a digital code. Mm-hmm. I can live with that. I personally don't like it. But
okay, I like the way that you went with that. Yeah,
because
you're still getting
something physical, so I can say, I have this game. This is what I have from it. But when you say, okay, well, you're no longer going to get a CD-based game, because it is the future. It is going to happen. We have no control over that, because what do you do now? You buy a new game, you download it to your thing, and all you need is the code inside to say, hey, you own this game. That's it. Your disc doesn't spin anymore. So it's going that direction. But me personally, if you're not offering me anything better, I'm just going to wait for an amazing sale and get it for $20, $30.
Yeah. I have no problem throwing out full price for a developer or a game or a series that I support and that I love. Like, for example, this is a great segue. I posted up something yesterday on the Game Addicts Facebook page. Pick 4 franchises that you would save, and the rest of them are gone forever. And I tried to be like, man, here I am thinking about this statistically. Like, what are some of my favorites? What's actually going to give me the most games?
Right.
So easily Final Fantasy was among them. So Final Fantasy, yes, okay. Current day Final Fantasy has burned me for about 7 years now.
Yep.
It's been a long time. I haven't really liked what they put out. But, if the FF7 remake's coming out and it's completely digital, and it's $60.
Oh, I'm buying it. I won't argue that.
It's one. If BioWare comes out with the Mass Effect HD remaster or a remake of the original Mass Effect, like, okay, guys, guess what we're going to do? We're going to redo the entire Mass Effect trilogy. Redo it. Not even remaster it at this point. We're just going to redo it. You got me at day one. It's very, for some of those, I'd be like, there are games that I would wait on. There are games that I wouldn't, but like Last of Us 2, I'm in day one.
There's always, I didn't mean to say like I'm not going to buy it. There's certain games that I'm going to buy, like Final Fantasy 7 that's bought the second. Literally I will be probably taking the day off to sit and stare at my phone until it comes up with the limited collector's edition, because that's just me. That game really opened the door to me, other than really Super Mario RPG opened the door for RPG games for me.
Right.
And that's the first game I ever played as an RPG. But 7's where the love's at. I would buy it. But other games, if you're not going to offer me anything like Horizon is a good one because I was really muttering. I mean, it was sitting there, and I was like, I want to buy the collector's edition, but I don't know how I'm going to feel about the game. It's a new IP. I'm a little iffy. They showed some of the stuff. I was like, it looks cool, but now I wish I would have got the collector's edition because I love the game.
That's the last game in my backlog that I have to knock through.
Oh, I love it.
I'm rolling through Prey right now, which I cannot praise enough.
Oh, it's
see what I did there? See what I did there?
Are you going to get the Moon DLC?
I think I like the game enough that I think it justifies spending $20.
What do you give Prey? Because I've been muttering that one around for a little bit.
I haven't beat the game yet. I've played probably 6 hours, and they are doing a really good job of that pseudo open world. You're on a space station,
right?
But you get to explore all of that space station and the area surrounding the space station in space. So if I was going to give it a hard number, I'd give it an 8 out of 10.
Ooh.
Just from what I've played right now. And I told Brandon yesterday, I said it is the perfect combination of, feeling-wise, what I get while I'm playing the game. Half-Life, BioShock, a little bit of Resident Evil. It's a good game, and I saw some really bad reviews for that game when it came out.
So did I.
And I don't see it. I don't see where the mechanics are a little bit clunky at times, but if you adjust some of your settings, it gets better. And it's not your typical first-person shooter. That's not how it's supposed to be played. And I think that's why people were kind of put off. It's not what they expected, and it's not the original Prey that we were promised.
I bought the first Prey, and I loved the game.
Oh, I did too. It was great.
Me and my cousin played it a lot. But when the new one came out, I was like, I'm iffy because a lot of people are.
Well,
not a lot of people
fans were so upset because when Prey 2 was announced, that was a very ambitious title. And then now, in the last 6 months, we've got to see what that game was supposed to be. We've got to see actual gameplay and developer commentary. And that game would have been really cool, but I'm happy with the direction that they went.
Right.
During Bethesda's presentation, I wasn't jumping for joy about the Moon Crash DLC because I hadn't played Prey.
Right.
Now it's like, okay, I can justify spending $20 more because I only paid $14 for Prey.
Right.
So, but the point that I wanted to make is I've knocked everything out of my backlog except Horizon, and I've kind of held that one for last. I didn't buy that game at launch for a lot of the same reasons you did. It was a new IP. It's an open world setting. I'm playing as an unestablished character. It didn't fit me for something that I wanted at the time, and then I saw gameplay and reviews, and everyone is heralding it as one of the greatest games of all time, and it's like, okay, I'll give this a shot eventually. If I can pick it up for $20. And then I saw they came out with a complete edition. With all the DLC, I don't have to buy a season pass. I don't have to buy any of that shit. I can just go pick up the game, and I think the complete edition is still like $40, but that game's worth $40.
Oh yeah.
I would if the complete edition was $60 right now, I would go buy it for $60. And I haven't even played it yet.
It's good.
Just talking to you guys, especially you.
Blaine loves it.
Blaine loves it. I've talked to Blaine a lot about it. So
it's kind of like a mix between Far Cry Primal and Monster Hunter.
Mm-hmm.
Because in Primal, you run around, you kill small beasts. You don't really have any of those epic battles. When you go toe-to-toe with the T-Rex in a very, or whatever they call it in it, it's basically a T-Rex with tons of shit on it. But in a small area, you fucking asshole puckers. you're like, he does this attack where you know what it does after, because you'll die 4 or 5 times before you know the attack patterns, and you're like, I can't escape this. What do I do?
Right.
And it's fun. I really enjoy the game. I didn't want to pay for the extra content because I almost 100% of that game. I played it so much, I was like, okay, I'm burnt. I burnt myself out.
Yeah, I get you.
But definitely worth a playthrough if you haven't touched it.
Well, that's like I said, that's why I've been saving it for my backlog. And, and part of the reason I wanted to bring it up is it goes back to what Brandon just said. If there is a franchise that I know or love or that justifies spending $60 on it, digital or not, I'm going to spend it.
Right.
So, and I think even without playing it, I think Horizon has earned that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
So.
Back to the GameStop that we completely ran away from.
I like that you brought up that post that you made yesterday because my posts were similar yet entirely different from most people. Sure. I picked The Witcher, Mass Effect, Resident Evil, and Dark Souls. And
then mine is Zelda, Fallout. Shit.
You picked
Resident
Zelda,
Evil.
Final Fantasy, Fallout,
Yep.
and Resident Evil.
Yep.
And I picked Zelda, Mass Effect, Final Fantasy, and Metal Gear.
Mm-hmm.
And Final Fantasy right there is going to be like your kicker because it didn't say how many different versions.
Mm-hmm.
That was what I was going to ask.
What if all the Final Fantasy games that you get are just like Final Fantasy 11 and 14?
Aww.
Then you're screwed. Or 13.
I'd be upset.
Then you're screwed.
But because, all right, so not only do you have the original NES, SNES, then you go to the PlayStation and get those ones. And then you have the re-releases on the PlayStations where you get Chronicles, which has 4, and also Chrono Trigger.
Yes.
So there's not a Final Fantasy game that they're saying is in the Final Fantasy family.
Right.
Then you also have the DS remakes. You also have the DS ports. You also PSP ports. You're going to get a slightly different experience every time.
Right.
So
we need a Chrono Trigger remake.
Yes.
Stop remaking Final Fantasy 7. Just remake Chrono Trigger.
Whoa, hold on there, pal.
If you had to pick one, you're telling me you would choose 7 over Chrono Trigger.
He's not a big Chrono fan. I am.
Oh, come on.
Now,
I am 70% through Chrono, and it doesn't grab me like 7 did. 7 grabbed me from the.
How old
game.
were you when you played 7 for the first time?
I think I'd be 15, 14.
If
14,
you played
15.
Chrono Trigger when you were 15, it would be different.
You're correct.
All right, so I actually wasn't 15 when I played Chrono the first time. It was like 2010.
Oh.
Be that as it may, it's still my number 2 favorite game of all time.
Mm-hmm.
So keep making FF7 remake. Do what they did for Secret of Mana.
Yes.
Where it's basic. It is a remake. It has voices. It has the same gameplay. I don't want them to change the Chrono gameplay because
I think you would be doing that game
because when you look at I Am
did.
Setsuna, it brings forward that a very similar engine to that, and you make the graphics look better. You give the voices. It makes it look more appealing on today's hardware, and it's the same game.
When you get your Switch, I recommend getting Lost Sphere.
Okay.
Lost Sphere is basically a new Chrono Trigger.
So have you actually played it yet?
I got through the beginning just because I was sitting there looking at it and I was like, I bought this game to play it. Brand new, day it came out, and I haven't even plugged it in.
I Am Setsuna is available right now for PS4 and Switch.
Mm-hmm.
And that it was made by by Square's development team, Tokyo RPG Factory.
Yeah, I remember I was on the show when you talked about it.
And basically, it was inspired 100% by Chrono Trigger in its gameplay. It has the text and everything.
Mm-hmm. And in this Sphere, it has the only difference is that you can move your characters around. So you still have the kind of the almost the same game style. I don't think I've got into any like combination attacks yet, like the techies, but. You can, you move it around and they have their own abilities and blah, 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 but you get to place them in specific spots to do maximum damage, blah, blah, blah. But it's basically Chrono Trigger. You can place your characters where you want them.
And it's funny, every day, it feels like almost every day, I find more and more reasons why I need to buy a Switch. And I know the time of year I'm going to buy a Switch. I'm going to buy a Switch this holiday season.
Let me smash.
Right, well, Smash. We talked about that earlier.
Yes, we did.
But, Pokemon, not that I needed to be sold on a Switch, but Pokemon on Switch is...
Did you like that gameplay?
I did like the gameplay.
It looked great.
It looked great. I like having the ability to play with somebody else.
Yeah.
If it's...
Yes.
If my wife sits down next to me on the couch while I'm playing Pokemon on the Switch, and she says, "What the hell are you doing?" And she's like, "Oh, that looks like Pokemon Go."
Because it essentially is.
Because it is essentially Pokemon Go. My wife's going to be into it, and then that's something that her and I can enjoy together.
I love how accessible it is. And I said this on the last episode, that Microsoft is coming out with that new accessible controller for people who have
limited motion,
either lost limbs or paralysis, whatever, to allow more options to get more people to play games, or to bring that back to people.
It's just great.
And
wait, the Pokeball.
Well, there's the Pokeball, and then there's you can play the entire game with just one Joy-Con.
Right.
And so, like, if you're someone who, unfortunately has some sort of, like, situation like this makes this game completely playable to you.
Right.
That's awesome.
Well, and especially, how important Pokemon was to us as a generation when we were kids. And you and I have talked about how when Pokemon Go first came out and people were playing that, we weren't worried as a society. We weren't worried about what was going on in the political climate. We weren't worried about how we had to go to Starbucks and spend $70 on a coffee and then fight traffic and go to work. We were excited to play Pokemon Go, and my wife got really into it. All of my friends and I, we would go out on the evenings during the summertime. We were on campus, and there was just hundreds and hundreds of people out fucking on our phone hunting for Pokemon, and it was like, hey man, did you see right down there's a Snorlax, or there's a Porygon right around the corner, go catch it. And that just the sense of community blew my mind.
I remember like being at the park and just talking to this dude. I never met this dude before or since.
Did you go to Ivy Tech with us?
No.
Me and Jay went to Ivy Tech like every day.
Yeah, Ivy Tech was a good spot. It was a good spot.
It was.
I went out with Silent Rob a lot. My wife played. We all played, and the thing is that there was a certain group, mostly older people, who were like, all you guys are doing are like looking at your phones. You guys are like drones. And I'm like, actually, it's very sociable.
Yep.
How often when you're out in public, like, and because I do the same thing, I don't talk to people. Like if somebody...
Well, especially the region that we live in, it's very difficult to talk to people just because of our culture here in the Midwest. People are not very friendly.
Well, and it's funny because it's like you say anything to somebody and they just kind of look at you.
What's the Rhino Pokemon?
Rhydon?
Rhyhorn.
Yeah.
So there was Rhyhorn right outside of BW3s. And I was driving, and Jay's on his phone. He's on both of our phones, like doing it. So we're driving, and he's doing both of them. He goes, pull over. So we pull over, and there it is. And I sit there, and I wasted 140 Pokeballs on it, and I never caught the damn thing.
Yep,
it was there for like 30 minutes. And there you could see people driving down the road, and they would literally veer off to the side. And everybody was trying to catch
I was on Wabash College's campus, and I hunted for a Lickitung for over an hour.
Oh,
I walked all over that campus because it would pop up
exclusive.
It would pop up on my map, and then it would disappear, and then it would pop up on my map again. But what I was getting at before we got deep into Pokemon Go was I think when Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee come out, that we're going to see a big sense of community again. And we as a culture might be able to relax a little bit and just enjoy Pocket Monsters again. Pocket Monsters are the devil. They're demons. We're catching
Cyber
demons.
demons.
Cyber demons. But I was at that point in my life, I was really stressed out. I was going through a lot of stuff, and it's 2:00 in the morning on a Saturday night, and I'm on Purdue's campus walking around with my wife. She was pregnant at the time, so my unborn child, my best friends, and we were just having a good time.
Yep.
So
I like the way that it promoted exercise.
Yeah, we were out there hoofing it all day, every day.
We stayed on campus. Me and Jay were for 3 hours until she would text. Like, our phones would either be dead or she would text, be like, okay, you're done.
We walked around with portable chargers.
We did too. We had them plugged in.
We would run our phones down as long as we could, and then it's okay, let's get some juice, and then we'd run back to the car and charge the chargers back up,
There's multiple times where we'd be here, and it would pop up like, hey, there's something nearby. Well, it's always at the church.
Yep.
So I would hop in the car, drive to the church. At the time, my Wi-Fi reached the church. So I would literally be right at the edge of the church, and I would sit there and play, and there was 2 gyms. Mm-hmm. And I owned those gyms forever.
Yep.
I just saw that they've introduced trading into the Pokemon Go.
Cool. That's awesome.
And also, I like how you can hook up your Pokemon Go to Let's Go to those games.
So, question for you: Eevee or Peak?
I'm doing Pikachu.
It seems like everybody's going to do Pikachu.
Blaine and I talked about this, and I have this weird thing where I can't have the same thing that everybody else has. I had Pokemon Blue and I had Pokemon Red. Blue was the first one that I ever got, but yellow was the one for me. And just out of pure nostalgia, I have to get that one. And Blaine's like, well, I'll get the Eevee one if I can have Umbreon. And I'm like, I don't know if you can or not, dude.
It's 150.
It's the 150, so I don't think you get...
Right?
Well, yeah, Mewtwo's the bonus.
Mewtwo, yes, 151.
Or Mew is the bonus.
Yeah, Mew is the bonus one, yeah.
But I was like, I don't know if you can or not, dude. And he's like, well, I guess I'll get the Pikachu one too. But it's so much nostalgia. I don't even care that he's gonna get the same one as me.
Yeah, I remember we played Monster Hunter. You're like, what weapon are you using? Well, I'll have to pick something else then.
Yeah, I just it's the OCD thing for me. I can't conform, you know. But all the way back to the beginning on why I brought this up. When the Switch released, you know, I had two reasons right out of the gate why I wanted to buy a Switch. It was Breath of the Wild and Bomberman. That's why, you know, I remember my days of Bomberman 64 and how much I played that game. I would play that game right now if I had it. Unfortunately, I lost that cartridge somewhere along the last couple of decades of my life. But so those were the reasons. And then I got Breath for my Wii U. So there's one reason gone away, and all I have is Bomberman. But like every day, you know, you just told me about Lost Sphear. Well, and I Am Setsuna. There's more reasons to buy the Switch. Smash Brothers, Mario Odyssey.
Odyssey's
That's
amazing.
a big reason. Mario Kart, so my wife and I can play Mario Kart together again.
And the awesome thing about Mario Kart Deluxe, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, is that they added for Double Dash was the double.
We've talked about it in the past. I remember
question marks. I love that game. I still like me and Joanna. The other day, Joanna's like, "Hey, I want to play Mario Kart." Of course, she only plays about 4 races with me because I smash her.
But you're doing something together,
right.
You know? A couple weeks ago, my wife and I were in Target, and they had, you know how every console manufacturer used to have the demo station set up in every major retailer in the U.S.? Well, Target has one with a Switch set up, or with 2 Switches set up. And with each Switch has both Joy-Cons, and they're linked together. And I walked up, and I started playing Mario Kart, and she stopped the cart and turned around. And she goes, "Are you playing Mario Kart?" And I said, "Yeah." She fucking wheeled that cart around and ran down the aisle and grabbed the other Switch, you know, to play fucking Mario Kart with me. And we stood there for like 15 minutes playing Mario Kart. And just seeing her geek out about Mario Kart, it's like, okay, I don't need any more reasons to buy a Switch.
Right.
Now I know when I'm going to do it. So...
But, I mean, there's just so much coming out. Like, the announcement of Smash. So, I like in the Smash, every character playable now.
I thought that was really cool. Some fans are actually mad about that, and I don't get it.
I mean, I think a lot of it is that a lot of people think that they're based in each era around the fighting tactics. So, they think that maybe they'll have more of an advantage with those older characters because some of them, like Snake, was fucking overpowered as shit where you could constantly just dodge back and forth and drop a grenade.
All right.
But I think it's amazing because they are basically setting the Switch up to be tournament.
Yeah,
you know, this is
absolutely.
it. Like, you've got the huge Splatoon tournaments. They've had massive Mario Kart tournaments.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we don't get that in the U.S.
Well,
but in Japan, they sell out arenas for this crap.
The point of that, too, is the Switch is bringing people together.
Yes.
So it goes back to what we were just talking about, Pokemon Go and Let's Go. We are a fan base, and we all have what we like, and we all have our differences and yada yada, and we argue about Sony and Microsoft, and then there's the random Nintendo guy that only does Nintendo stuff. But the point is, this kind of shit brings us all together. You know, we're one big family. We all love video games. We devote thousands upon thousands of dollars to video games and time. I mean, let's just enjoy it.
Look over there, and hell, out of most of that stuff, I could say I almost have $500 to $600. Well, I probably have $400 if you added up what it's worth now in amiibos.
Yep.
I mean, I have every Zelda amiibo that they've come out with, almost every Samus one other than the dual gun variant that's like thousands upon. I'm not buying that. But yo, Zook.
I was like, what the hell?
What's that?
He reaches up and pet me.
Okay, so probably about like 2 shows ago, I brought up the GameStop possibly being sold, and they've actually confirmed that they're having talks of a possible transaction.
Yep.
What I want to know is if when they put the for sale sign out front, if it's going to say pre-owned or not.
Yeah, I saw that article, or I was kind of surprised to see that article this morning because, normally when you look at pre-owned game retailers, we've had a lot of local retailers that, and every town does. They come and they do well, and then they just disappear overnight. Disc Replay does pretty well, I would imagine. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been here as long as they have.
Some of these chains are like regional. So like you have Game Exchange. They're very regional. And like there's the one dude that owned the Lafayette one and the Kokomo one. He actually left the Game Exchange chain and he closed the one here. So now just the Kokomo one's there.
I didn't even know there was another one open still.
Yeah. The one in Kokomo is still open. I can't remember what they call it now. But Game Exchange is like all the way down through Texas and stuff like that.
Okay.
And Disc Replay is like Indiana, Illinois, Michigan,
Midwest.
You kind of like that, and yeah. And see, the thing is that like me and you need to go up to and you too.
Every time we do it, I got something going on.
You always have some sort of excuse. There's one up in Highland.
Big good ones.
And of course, there's some down in Indy as well. But like the Highland one has that near Chicago crowd.
Oh, so they get a lot of rare stuff in there.
And not only that, but there's actually a big toy.
Oh, cool.
Like here,
it's huge toy.
Here is a little bit. Okay, they're starting to get some action figures, and they're not much. But up there, they have full displays of like old Ninja Turtle toys and Star Trek and Star Wars.
So their pop thing is ungodly huge.
It's crazy. They actually have boxes full of like still with the card thing on the back of it with old toys. They have music. They have cassette tapes. They have vinyl, VHS.
Cool.
And a smaller one than what we have.
Really?
Yes.
Oh well, it's actually like about the same size.
Yeah.
Kind of.
It's just got a lot more shit in it.
Yeah, it's so crammed because like I've seen. I remember on my first big game hunt up there, I was so torn. Because I bought a bunch of NES games. I needed an NES, but they had a TurboGrafx 16. And I'm like, this is my first time ever seeing one in person.
Mm-hmm.
I want one, but I never see games around here for it. And when I do, they're super expensive.
Right.
So I bought my NES, and then it's like, I've also like come across up there like a complete inbox Atari Jaguar.
Hell yeah.
I'm like, that. Do I want to own that? To really dive into it, or is it for like for fuck's sake? It's kind of what it is.
Yeah. Well, it'd be one of those that you look up it on the shelf, up at it on the shelf, and you're like, yeah, I got that.
Or or like when you have a friend over and like, what's that? Let's check this out.
This is my Atari Jaguar.
And they're like, what? And then you actually get to show them, like Doom on the old Atari Jaguar. But like that store up there's awesome.
What was the big fighter on there?
On the Jaguar?
Yeah, they had a fighter on there. That's the one I always saw on display was that fighter game.
I don't remember the fighter, but I remember they had like this knockoff Mario Kart game that was out for it that actually was not that great. But you know what is one of the biggest games right now in popularity? If you had to take a stab, most popular game right now.
Oh, most popular game just like...
In general, if you were to go on Twitch... What is the most popular
Fortnite.
game? There you go. Most popular game right now is Fortnite. So now at E3 they announced Nintendo Switch version. Day one, 2 million downloads.
Yeah.
And that was just day one. So
for a game that's not finished.
For a game that's not finished and for a game that is free to download. It's all microtransaction based. And it's made by the guys that made Gears of War. It's made by Epic. Again, why didn't we think of that, I guess? I've had my sentiments well voiced about unfinished games before, but this game is very playable. People are enjoying the crap out of it.
I used to play a lot of it. I played it last night, and I forgot how much I freaking suck at it. There's a reason why I stopped playing it, so I deleted it.
So there,
again,
over the course of E3, this big conversation about crossplay, because now that you have the Switch version can play with mobile, with PC, with Xbox One, not PS4.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, PS4 is the only one saying no crossplay. You can play with PC, you can play with mobile, but you cannot play with Switch and you cannot play with Xbox One.
I saw an article the other day that said it was because of money.
That's a theory from somebody who used to work there. But guess what they're doing now?
They're starting it.
No.
What are they doing?
All right, so say for Mike, you have Fortnite on the PS4.
Okay.
You've played it, right?
Yeah.
And you're going on a road trip. Say you're going with Joanna when she goes on her trip.
Okay.
And while you're at the hotel, you're like, I'm going to hook into Wi-Fi and I'm playing some Fortnite. I got to switch. I got an itch. I got to scratch my itch on my Switch. And I'm going to be playing me some Fortnite. You're going to log into Fortnite. How Fortnite works. Because you can move, all your save stuff is on the cloud. So no matter what system you log into, you have all the stuff that you have. You go to log in on the Switch. This account is locked.
Oh, they're locking it to where you can
If you log into your account on the PlayStation, you cannot log into that account on the Xbox One or the Switch.
Wow.
That's shitty.
You can log in on mobile, log in on PC. People who are trying to I played this on the PS4, I love it, now I got it on my Switch. They have to create a new account entirely.
That's shitty.
It is, very much so. I feel like that is there is no reason to justify that.
Are we ever going to get true crossplay? Are the boys ever going to play nice and just let it happen?
I mean, Rocket League pretty much showed, hey, we can play on every console right here, now.
Fortnite back in September of last year accidentally enabled crossplay.
Yep.
Because there's some dude on PlayStation was playing and got killed by somebody and noticed that their gamer tag had a space in it. Or their ID, and they're like, you can't do spaces on PlayStation. So they did a little research and found out that same user, there was no user on the PlayStation database, but there was on Xbox, and they were playing Fortnite. They got killed by somebody playing on an Xbox One, and it was up and open for a couple hours before Epic realized it and had to go in and fix it. It's available. It can be done. PlayStation is not doing it for probably because of money reasons. But again, when you have Phil Spencer and fucking Reggie Fils-Aimé, if there's ever, in all due respect, Reggie, a dude who comes across as a really center focused, on yourself, on your brand, on you. If there was anybody who was going to say no, I would expect it to be Reggie and Nintendo.
Definitely Nintendo. I mean,
or at least Nintendo and Reggie has to explain it.
Right.
Not saying that he's making that call.
Right.
What I'm saying is that history shows us that Nintendo would be the odd man out, going, you can't play with PlayStation and Xbox guys. We're sorry, but we have 20 million other Switch cloners that could play the game with you. And we as people would be like, why is Nintendo doing? Instead, it's Sony, who are on the top of the heap right now, raking in that cash for the 80 million PS4s.
No soup for you.
No soup.
No soup.
No.
That's the thing. Is Nintendo is doing all the right moves. Mm-hmm. Microsoft is starting to do all the right moves. Everybody's kind of starting to shift the way that they need to shift, and you still got PlayStation over here going, no soup for you.
Yep.
No. And it's just, it's ridiculous.
You have to give the credit to Phil Spencer, though, on how personable a guy he is, how grassroots the guy is. The guy just wants everybody to play games and be happy.
Yeah.
And if you want to do it on PlayStation, he's happy for you to do it on PlayStation.
Yeah.
He's openly said that. I own a PlayStation.
Yep.
I play games on PlayStation.
I'm a gamer. I play on everything.
That's right. So
but what he's done for Xbox, not just Microsoft, but Xbox, I mean, it's a viable. Before it was okay, we have 2 exclusives. We have all this little stuff here, and we're doing this and that. And he come in, he's like, yeah, scrap all that. Backwards compatible all the way back. Everything you can. Do it now.
Yep.
Not even playing. Do it now.
We said earlier Microsoft is not looking at the here and now. They're looking at tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I really feel like unless Sony gets their head out of their ass with this kind of thinking, we're going to see another shift where Microsoft is going to be the big top system seller.
Well, do you think we're to the point now where it's just going to go back and forth every generation?
I think eventually it's not going to matter.
Eventually it won't because it's going to be services. Yes. And that's what I've said before. But what I'm thinking is that is Sony's killing it with their exclusives, dude. There is all the reason in the world right now to buy a PlayStation. I don't think it's going to be Xbox One levels of people going, oh, I'm leaving this brand. Screw you, PlayStation. It's going to be people looking at, well, like this. It's like you said, Spencer has spent this entire generation trying to pull that foot out of the mud that they stuck themselves in right when they jumped out of the car. They went right into that sinkhole, and he's been trying to like pull the whole thing up.
And he's been doing a really good job of it. And I don't think he gets enough recognition for what he's done for that brand.
Every move that man has made has been phenomenal.
And obviously he's got supporting teams, and it's not all just Phil.
But
he's the face of Xbox.
Games. Ooh.
He's the guy who's leading the charge. He's the guy who's making the final calls on a lot of this stuff.
But I don't think he's been getting enough recognition.
I don't think so either.
And I think he definitely deserves it.
Absolutely. I
mean, the fact that they brought in 5 new
studios,
and they've pulled out all these 18 exclusives. I mean, he's listening to game. That's the thing. Is like Microsoft is listening to gamers. Mm-hmm. I want this. Okay, we're going to give it to you.
The exact message that PlayStation was saying when they launched the PS4, this is for gamers. If we keep the pressure on them about this cross, I don't give a crap about Fortnite. I don't give a crap if I'm able to play Fortnite with people. I care about if whether you're able to and whether or not you're able to, because I think it should be done. And there is no reason when you have Phil Spencer and Reggie saying, yes, awesome. And when they're asked about Sony, they're like, what's their decision to make? And they have to be like, well, we're doing it. And Nintendo's being the cool kid now, saying, see, we can play too.
Right.
Nintendo, like I said, Nintendo's making all the right moves. Microsoft's making all the right moves. I mean, you notice this generation with the Switch, what are we on, 2 years almost?
Almost 2 years.
Almost 2 years. And it's blowing up. I mean, you've got third party is just flocking to the Switch. Yep. They're making it, so they're keeping this on a roll. Hey, we got all these people. Why don't we play nice with everybody? Let's play nice with everybody.
Well,
more people are going there.
We're finally to the point where Nintendo doesn't have to be the odd man out. They don't have to be in their own little niche market. They have the capability to do all the same things that Sony and Microsoft are doing. Obviously, they're doing it in their own way, but like you put it perfect. Nintendo is not the weird kid anymore. They're the cool kid now.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know.
And Sony's just being stubborn. If we keep on them, they'll do it. But we need to be telling them that's what we want.
Well, and part of the reason, I went back to Sony this console generation, but part of the reasons Sony has kind of left a bad taste in my mouth is because Sony has kind of touted that we're the big man, we're on top, we have more consoles and households than anybody, and yada, yada, yada. Sony did the same thing that Microsoft did to me last generation. When I saw the PlayStation 3 was $600, I said, nope, I'm buying an Xbox.
Right.
So, and then Sony's no different than Xbox. Nintendo is no different than Microsoft or Sony. They're all, they are the three. They are what we have.
Yeah.
Why can't they just work together?
It's all about selling the systems.
I know.
And that's what, PS4 really, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, like, behind the scenes, they're buddy-buddy with each other.
Right.
They wish each other well. They congratulate, like, Phil was like, Xbox was like, congratulations, you guys, on God of War,
Yeah, he openly said that.
He goes, this is a great game. You guys knocked us out of the park. Mm-hmm. Congratulations. And, congratulations to Nintendo on a successful Switch launch. Here is technically your competitor, and he's like, hats off, guys. You guys knocked it out. I'm loving this thing. So it's like, again, it's like they do that, and same with the Sony guys. You have Shuhei Yoshida. He wasn't even at E3 this year, but like him and Phil, like they tweeted each other all the time. You know.
Well, and there's history of them working together on games, like. Cory Barlog, the director of God of War, reached out, and I don't remember who exactly it was, but it was a couple different directors of Microsoft Studios reached out to them to say, hey, how did you guys get this to work? what issues did you have at this stage? Did you have issues then when you reach the next stage after that? And they work together. And that's part of the reason that God of War was such a great game, because he put the time in, swallowed his pride a little bit, went outside the bounds, and did what needed to be done
to make a fantastic
game. So why can't we just do this on the grand scale?
There's no excuse for it. I mean, again, like we're all gamers.
Mm-hmm.
I said this last week. It's a fantastic time to be a gamer, no matter where you're gaming. So,
everywhere's doing good.
Well, and here's the thing too. Sony put a bad taste in my mouth with the 3. I never bought one that generation. I played it and ended up liking it, but I just never bought one. This generation, Xbox put a really bad taste in my mouth when they announced the Xbox One, and I said, you know what? I like what Sony is telling me. I'm going to go back to my roots. I'm going to get a PS4, and I did. And I still have that original PlayStation. And then when Phil took over and they rolled out the 1S, I was like, you know what? There's enough on this console to justify me buying it. And I got mine for really cheap, and I got a special edition, and it was really cool. And Phil Spencer and the people in charge of Xbox right now have reignited my interest in their brand.
Yes.
And then obviously Nintendo did it without even trying, But if Sony can make me want to buy one again, damn.
We better wrap this up because we have a tendency to get struck by lightning.
Yeah,
That's what happened to my original PS4.
And Microsoft can do the same thing. There's no reason they can't patch it up and work together.
I agree.
100%.
I hope we see it.
I just think that right now, as you said, Sony's standing up there going,
Yep, they're
I'm big man.
chest.
I'm big man. You can't knock me down. I'm big man. The thing is
that's going to bite them in the ass.
It's going to.
It happened on the
PS.
PS2. It happened to Microsoft on the 360.
Yep.
You can't have that mindset.
Yep.
Because
Absolutely not.
I bought a 360 on launch on D-Day, and I loved it until it fucking warped the motherboard. Because
How many red rings did you get?
I only had one.
I had 4 consoles that red ringed.
Holy crap!
And they were the original white ones. I had 4 in a row that red ringed, and then I bought a used Elite, and that I still have that used Elite right now. But I went through 4 fucking consoles, and the issue still wasn't fixed. I had to go buy a used console that somebody else got rid of.
Yep.
To finally be able to play games reliably. And I said I will never buy another Xbox product after that. And then obviously the Xbox One debacle,
Yeah, that didn't help him out at all.
No.
Yeah. No.
Not at all.
But yet again, Sony capitalized on it.
Mm-hmm.
What was the thing they put out almost immediately after? Hey,
How you can play your
how you can share your games.
Step
and it was
one,
his
share your game.
Share your game, and it showed him holding the game and handing it over to
it was like Shuhei
yeah,
and
Shuhei and
some other dude.
yeah,
Right.
he just handed it over. And
Thanks.
Step 2, put it into your console
Right.
and play, enjoy. But
yeah, no, like Sony has, they've been doing really good this generation. They have the integrated audience where the difference between, like, because back on the PS3 and the 360 era, it was like, well, Sony doesn't have the built-in party chat. They don't have this. Their online sucks. I had more problems on Xbox than I had on PS3 with online, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I got kicked how many times on the 360?
yeah.
It was every night. Multiple times a night.
Yep, I had the same experience.
oh, and the fact that we couldn't play together after a
me
while,
and
that
him-
we
me and
literally
him were-
was like hated
we
each
weren't
other.
allowed. If me and him tried to connect each other, would never work.
If-
we had to have like a middle ground guy
Yep.
invite us both.
Yeah,
in.
we did the same thing. Had the same experience.
And so, like, I loved my PlayStation 3, but like again, it's like, the PS3 lacked in a few areas. Now with the PS4 and the Xbox One, they almost have the exact same advantages and disadvantages.
Right.
So it's like on the next console, unless Sony really shoots themselves in the foot, I don't know if I see as big amount of a mass exodus. Like, if Xbox gets out of the gate first, like, people might trade their PS3 or PS4s in for it, but like, I see no reason to get rid of my PS4.
No, I don't disagree a bit.
Here is what I think that Microsoft needs to do, and I feel like this is what's going to happen. I think Microsoft is gearing all these exclusives to be exclusives. Now, this run will be exclusives on the X, but the next one they're gearing up for the next console when it launches to say, boom, 30 or X amount of, this is what we've got first party right here, right now. Just like Sony did. This is what we've got.
Yeah, and
here it is.
In this fiscal year, we have 30 console exclusives. You're gonna get Halo in. Obviously, these won't be the right dates or months, but you're gonna get Halo in March, and you're gonna get Gears in September, and then you're gonna get all this other stuff in between and before and after, and they're gonna nail it. I think they have learned from the mistake that they made with the one. They cannot do that to themselves again.
I think that Sony is gonna make Last of Us Part 2 on the 5.
You think it's gonna be a launch? See, I think that game is further along than Death Stranding is, and I could see Death Stranding being a launch title for the 5. They have said explicitly, Last of Us 2 is a PS4 game.
Okay, so
it'll be the swan right song. Towards the tail end.
It'll be the swan song just like the first one.
Yep. I think it's going to be near the end. And then, just like I said, there's absolutely no excuse why PS4 games should not be reverse compatible on the 5.
It better be.
If they're going to be that similar in architecture where you're just upgrading your processor, it's the same kind of processor. There's no reason.
You're literally
architecture-wise.
You're literally upgrading your processor, your RAM, and your graphics. That's it. And the platform is going to be the same.
And definitely make it more power efficient.
Sure. And make it have more hard drive.
Make it... Well,
it'll come with a terabyte minimum.
Yeah.
It needs to come with a minimum of 2 nowadays.
It won't do that. It's not cost effective enough. But definitely release all the consoles with a 1 terabyte hard drive. Definitely increase the cooling capacity, because
my 4,
I've never had the issue, but I know you've had the issue, and I know quite a lot of other people have had the issue where that thing gets fucking hot.
My 4 has to be on top. I cannot put it in the cubbyhole. And if you hear, I have a very small fan that never shuts off, whether it's off or on, because I've turned it off on standby and left and came back, and it was blistering hot, like to the point where I touched it, I was like, oh, shit.
During my Last of Us gameplay.
Oh, yeah, the jet engine has launched.
I've cleaned this sucker, and it's like, it's going there for a while, and I have my earbuds in. I can't hear it. I'm like signing off, saying goodbye, I end the stream, turn take my plugs out, and it's like, I'm like.
So you were playing it on your original PlayStation?
Yeah, on my 4. On my OG launch. I'm actually gonna try it out maybe tomorrow with the Pro to see how loud that gets. I'm I don't know. Like,
we're gonna do a little vampire in here.
Yeah, we're gonna. He's got an original system that got struck by lightning that doesn't do video anymore. So we're gonna try and take the fan out of that to see if it's just a. Old
wore out.
Wore out. Maybe we'll see if that works. If not, you know what? I mean, I have 2 systems. I can swap them out because when I'm going to be streaming, the kid's going to be asleep.
Right.
So, it is what it is. But yeah, I think we need to get wrapping up. You do have some pickups. You have some pickups as well.
Yeah.
You first.
Let's go ahead and get to that. I have a new controller for Xbox One for my stream. I bought a new PS4 camera. I got to Connect for that kind of stuff to get me started until I get my computer. Man, that's loud. Anyway, so Tyler.
So I recently got Game Pass. Really diving into that. Not a whole lot on there out of the gate that I really...
Is that how you play Rise?
That's how I played Rise.
Awesome.
I really wanted to buy the 20th anniversary edition, but man, being able to download it right there, right then, I went ahead and played through it and beat it and really enjoyed the game, and I look forward to the next one. I also purchased Prey, obviously. I talked about that. And then I bought kind of a niche game, but it's Warhammer 40,000 Space Hulk Deathwing.
I've thought about that one, personally.
Don't buy it. It's not that good of a game. I nerd out about it because I've played 40K since I was a kid, and I read all the books, and I
liked 40K.
I'm in on the lore, and so you might enjoy it. It's a PlayStation exclusive. It was originally supposed to come out for both consoles, and then they just gave up on making the Xbox one. I paid $27 for it used, and mine was pretty much in brand new condition. I would say it's not worth $27. It's a really short game. It's only got 9 chapters in the campaign. Each chapter is like an hour and a half long. But it does have replayability if you play with more people.
Right.
You can do random stuff by yourself too, but those are the big ones that I have. I really, really enjoyed Rise, and I really can't say enough about how much I look forward to the next Tomb Raider entry. Bless you.
Thank you. Allergies.
Oh, okay. I'm going to talk about Tomb Raider some more.
Go for it.
So you and I had talked about when I first started playing Rise, how I wasn't gripped and pulled in the same way that I was with the first Tomb Raider update. And because of how similar Rise of the Tomb Raider is to Uncharted 4, which I played not long ago.
Yeah.
But towards the end of it, and how they set the story up for the next iteration, and how everything kind of makes sense now, going through Laura's journey, I think it's going to be really, really cool. I look forward to that game a lot.
That's a game I need to pick up too.
Yep, and I've been harping on you for that for a while.
Well, it's still $40, almost 30.
It's $32.99.
You can get the celebration for around 20, or the 20th anniversary for around $20 if you look for it. Amazon has had it on sale the last 6 months, like every other month.
I would do that.
So
and the ones that disc replay, they're still selling for $36.
Yep. Well, I went into disc replay the day that I bought Prey for $14. They still have it in there for $49.
Yeah.
And it's not the original case. It's not the original art booklet or anything.
Right.
$49. So I hate to take business away from disc replay, but
Yeah,
I'm not going to pay
place.
$49 when I can pay for $14. You know what I mean?
I don't blame you. But
brand new on Amazon, $32 for the PS4.
Yeah, every now and then you can get that for $20. Just keep an
I'll
eye on
probably
it.
wait. So my pickups are, my wife wanted to play Fallout really bad.
That's funny because I tried to get her to play that when you refused to play it, and I was showing her stuff from it.
And she sat and watched me play it for, like, when I replayed it through this last time, she sat and watched me, and she secretly came up to me and she goes, I just want to let you know that I really want to play this game, like, really, really bad.
The prophet over here is like, you guys are going to love this. You guys like Bethesda. This is really cool. And they're like,
I can't read your commandments.
So I bought her the Fallout 4 Game of the Year edition for $30. She's been playing the crap out of it. So
Yeah.
And then the other one, there was two of these. Well, I bought Attack on Titan 2.
Okay.
So they had Attack on Titan 1 and Attack on Titan 2. Now, I've never seen these before, ever.
You've never watched any of the anime or
No,
anything?
no, I've watched the anime,
okay.
but I haven't seen the games. So I was going to buy both of them because I love the show.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then I started doing a little bit of research. So basically, Attack on Titan 2 completely covers the first one. Like, I think he said it's like 87% of the story is in this one.
Okay.
And then part of Season 2.
So you basically got a 2-for-1 deal by buying the second one.
Right. And it was $42, but I got 2 games, essentially. So I wasn't upset. But I've yet to pop this in. I really, really like the show. Like, me and her watched it together 3 times.
Cool.
And I watched it by myself once. We love how dark it is because that's realistic.
Oh, it's definitely visceral, no doubt.
There's just no way around it. Like, you got a character, you're like, this guy's awesome. The next episode, you can guarantee he's dying in a horrible, terrible way.
Yep.
But those are my 2 pickups. I mean, Fallout 4. That's just...
Right.
I beat it with her sitting here.
I'm going to get that Game of the Year edition. I've just got to get over how mad I was when I wanted to buy the season pass and it's still $40.
Nuka World is... I mean, I'm doing the Automatron Man one, and I'm playing on very hard. One, I would do survival, but I can't fast travel, so screw that.
Right.
And I'm noticing it's hard because I'm level 20, and those Automatron Mans, I'm burning through my ammo. Like, I have to stop and do the purified water thing where you just make purified water, get caps, buy ammunition.
Right.
I spent like 10,000 caps on ammunition, and I hardly have any. So,
Nice.
I mean, it is what it is. If I put it on normal, it would be all right. But this is like my 7th playthrough, so I feel like I need to be on very hard to.
Yeah, I get it.
But
I love a little bit more challenge, a little bit more immersion.
I'm playing with mods this time around too. I haven't. They're really just small mods. Like, I can add legendary perks to my weapons. So, but yeah, it's a great game. I mean, I can't gush about it enough. As much as I like, I still do not like the third one though.
Oh, I got a soft spot for the third one.
I need to play through. I need to sit down. I need to play it.
If they ever do a Switch version, it's mine.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, like I definitely have a soft spot for the third one. That was my first one. I got it on a.
You didn't play any of the. You didn't play 1 or 2 on the PC.
Okay, so I know I've shared this story on the podcast before, but I'll share this. I'll share this one story, and then I think we got to wrap this up. So, I got my Xbox for one game,
Mass Effect.
Mass Effect. I purchased the game and played it on Rob's Xbox, and then I red ringed it essentially. Probably because I was playing it more than he was, and he was like, "I'm gonna get a new one." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm gonna get one too." So I ended up getting one first, and I got one of the. It was like maybe like the next year, less than a year later, they came out with the Slims. I got so mad because I came out with one of the later Elites. Mm-hmm. Maybe kind of like the one you got, maybe where it's the old style, but starting with the Halo 3 edition, they made some changes to the board to make sure that's where the how hot, like it wouldn't warp as much, or they changed how they soldered it, whatever.
That thing would get hot as a freaking sun.
Right.
I just remember seeing something where they changed how that works, where it's not going to be a deal, and mine never did. Mine never red ringed. The only issue that mine had near the time that I got rid of it is that the fan got loud, and that's probably just it being dusty.
Right.
So I got the Xbox. I had Mass Effect. Rob was going to buy the Resident Evil 5 360, that red one, and he was waiting. And I'm like, I want some more games for this. I don't want this to necessarily just be the Mass Effect machine. Now that I got this, I got the PS3. Maybe I can spread the love a little bit. And I saw a commercial for Fallout 4 or 3. My bad, Fallout 3, and we were in the old location for disc replay.
Yeah.
And this is back before they had the barcode system. This is before they just had stickers. And
I'd rather them have stickers because those barcodes are hard as shit to get off.
they're very easy. All you need is Goo Gone. Anyway, the older ones were much easier. However, like, so we went and like the wife wanted some movies. I got Fallout, and I'm like trying to add stuff up in my head. And Fallout was like $42.99. You know, it was still brand new.
Yeah.
Typically, when a brand new game, there might be like $50 or $42.99 typically, and when it's pretty new still. And I think this is only a few months after it had come out. And I'm like, all right, sure. So I'm adding it up in my head. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm spending this much. And the dude's like, doop, 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 doop. All right, here's your price. And I'm like, that's cheaper? Okay, here you go. Paid, went to the car, instantly started looking at stuff because I'm like, we just made out here.
Right.
I don't know what happened. So I'm looking at the receipt. And, of course, there is no title on the receipt. It's just prices. He was typing in the numbers of just the sticker on there. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, there's no $42.99 on here. But there is a $12.99. He gave me that game for $13.
Hell yeah.
And I'm like, this is like the greatest deal. We got enough to go get Moe's.
Sweet.
And so, yeah, like I remember like playing that for the first time. And, you know, I had played a little bit of Oblivion. And, you know, Rob did as well. Rob played the crap out of Oblivion. And then he was looking at it and goes, oh, so it's kind of like Oblivion, but this. I'm like, essentially, yeah. And I just remember that first playthrough of wandering around. And
you are the lone wanderer.
Exactly, you know. And then it's like, yes, I'm on my way to do stuff, but then how easy it is to get distracted. Go over here, check out, find out these people, do this, do that. So that's where I kind of fell in love with it. I'm like, and then, of course, when you first leave the vault, what do you see? You see the Capitol Wasteland, and then you see
the sunlight hits you.
The sun, yeah. But then you see like the Washington Monument in the distance, all messed up. Like, I want to go there. And then of course you have the big moment when you finally get into the, you know, the big, like the mall, you know, and you're just like, whoa, you know, because I'm a stickler for history. I love history stuff, so seeing that stuff was awesome.
Right.
But yeah, from there, like.
I'm still debating on which system I want to buy it for.
Well, it is available for the PS3. It is available for the Xbox 360. I'm going to suggest to you to go ahead. Do you currently have? You don't have it? Go get the. Go ahead and pick up the Game of the Year one. for 360 because
That's what I was thinking.
It'll have an extra disc with all the DLC on it that you can just install to your 360.
That's what I was thinking.
So that's definitely the one to get for sure. The PS3 one probably works fine, but it being a Bethesda game for that era, it's going to be a Bethesda game, but it's probably going to be just a little bit more smooth on the 360.
Yeah.
Yep.
It probably loads faster as well, but I think it's going to do it for this very long and detailed. Man, this is like the most relaxed I was during this podcast for a long time. Like I just let you guys go, and I would just be like way back here, just relaxing.
Yeah.
But
I told you I was going to ramble.
hell yeah,
I told you to ramble. I said go for it. I mean, Brandon rambles all the time.
You opened the floodgates, and I just did what I do.
Tyler, thank you so much for coming back on.
Thanks
the show.
for having me, man. I love being on the show. I like nerding out and talking games with you guys.
And thank you so much for helping out and filling in for Mike.
Yes.
During that during the hiatus there.
It ain't a thing.
I really appreciate that. We can't wait to have you back on, and also a quick congratulations to you in your new endeavor.
Oh, thank you.
It's going to suck not having you around.
We'll have him.
What did I say? What did I say today
I don't
to
remember.
you? I'm a little upset because I won't get to see you.
And I
anymore.
said, you don't get to see me now.
I said, but at least I had the option.
But I mean, with that being said, you are welcome back here anytime.
Appreciate it.
We'd love to have you. You are definitely the sexiest guest we've ever had.
Whoa.
Thank you. Thank you.
For sure. But again,
Yeah.
we wish you all the luck in your new endeavor, and know that you'll succeed in that. And of course, if anyone else wants to continue listening to your journey as you go along,
So my ramble.
you can ramble. This guy can ramble about anything, and you can go listen to that on his other show, Podcastrophe, with the one and only Dick Blaine Tyner. You can check them out on their live streams every single Wednesday.
It's Wednesday for now. We're probably going to end up changing it to Tuesday or Friday. We haven't decided yet, but I'm going to be a college student again, so Mondays and Wednesdays I got to do college stuff. So
live streams, man, definitely where it's at for you guys. Of course, you can guys, if you guys missed the live streams, go check out the audio podcast available wherever fine podcasts are available. Just subscribe to the Journey to Comics Network. They go up every Thursday for now. That may change, but definitely check out Podcastrophe on there. Great show, great guys.
Thank you,
Mike.
Brandon.
Thank you for being on the show again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's kind of the norm now.
I'm here and I do stuff.
Here and I do stuff.
That one. But yeah, guys, we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up here. We got a storm of brewing outside. The thunder rolls.
Yeah, and the
all
thunder rolls.
all I'm doing is looking at that TV and going, I really need to unplug all that stuff.
You'll get up to go sneeze, but you won't get up to go unplug it.
Well, that is
Brandon has
actually
a point.
That's actually pretty difficult because I have to
just
move.
quad surge protector everything.
I do have it double surge protected, but the last one was surge protected and it fried the PS4.
I read something, not to keep us going here, but I read something not long ago that like the old Xbox or the Xbox Power Brick actually has an internal surge protector.
Yeah.
Yep.
And plugging it into a surge protector renders that one inert.
Yeah.
And basically makes it so you have no surge protector.
Yep.
Yeah.
Why does no one know that?
Yeah, that isn't very common knowledge,
No.
but I do remember reading that a while ago.
But why would you design something that when you plugged it into another surge protector, it made it inert?
I don't know how surge protectors work. So.
Well, they say you're really not supposed to plug in certain things into surge protectors. Like when you have a cable box, they want you to plug it right into the wall.
Right.
Yep.
For TVs, they're like, I've heard both. I've heard plug in a surge protector.
Both too.
I've heard I'll just plug it in the wall. It actually has a built-in thing for it. So who knows? Maybe that is something to actually bring up and start, shaking our fists about.
Rabble.
Rabble. So anyway, guys, thank you guys for checking out this episode of the Game Addicts podcast, wherever you did. Of course, we're available on all fine podcast services, the Apple Podcasts, Spotify, if that's where you want to do it, the Google Play Musics. I don't know. Nobody does that one. But of course,
there's one guy out there that listens to you guys on Google Play Music.
But of course, for our great hosts over there at Podbean and all of you gracious, 817 followers.
Yes.
Thank you guys so much for following and listening to the show.
Dealing with my information problem. This has happened before.
Yeah. What system is that game on again?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. But of course, you can also check us out on Twitch at twitch.tv/GameAddictsPlay, where I am playing The Last of Us, and eventually, here very soon, this show we're going to be live streaming that like on Wednesdays. So if you want to check out the show live and watch us,
And I'm playing Fallout if you want to watch.
you haven't been streaming that yet.
No, I have not.
Well, then you need to start.
Yeah.
Just-
Well, I streamed like an hour or two of it, but then I didn't have it. Actually, I streamed it twice, but I didn't have it to save the content. So
Hey, I fumbled with that too when Blaine and I were streaming Monster Hunter. That's Twitch's mobile app is not very friendly.
No. You
I had to
definitely.
get on the computer while I was on there to mess with it while texting him while he was on his.
Yep.
Yes, you do. You definitely need to have a laptop or definitely a desktop to be messing with that. But if you do miss my live streams or the show's live streams, whatever we're streaming, games, whatever, as of right now, you can go to our YouTube. I have it exporting over there, so you can check out my first jet engine laden gameplay video of The Last of Us while I'm talking about it. I'm so glad I got to figure out that you can get rid of the damn chat on there for now.
And put it on your phone.
Well, like it's on the phone anyway, like,
right?
But just to have it where it's not shrinking down your screen size. So, guys, we're also on social media. Game Addicts Play all over there on Facebook, the Instagrams. I posted a lot during E3, and I need to get back on posting on the Instagrams, on Twitter. Twitter's a great place. Go follow us on Twitch, but also follow us on Twitter because that's where you're going to get the updates on when we're going to be streaming. I'll definitely send out tweets about when I'm streaming and updates for that. I'm probably going to be streaming on Wednesday if you're listening to this on the day that this drops because this episode's early. A day early, $1 short, but that's the way I want to do it now. Whenever we record, the next day it goes up. I don't care if we do it the next day after, whatever. Because if we're going to go into the streaming mode, I don't want our audience to wait. I don't want to hear you guys have to wait. Because if the people who watched it already saw it, then why are you guys waiting to hear this thing on audio 4 days later? Exactly. So I think until next time, this is going to do it for us here, as I'm having trouble now talking. Because I spent most of the show not talking,
right?
Is what it is. I just kicked back and fell asleep. But thank you guys for checking out this episode, and make sure to check out the next one next week. Until then, I've been Brando,
and I've been Mike.
I've been Tyler.
Game on, guys. Have a good one. See you next week.